Good morning. Today we'll be presenting about the National Tourism Development Plan, which aims to strengthen the Philippine strategic planning process. Next. So the NTDP, in short for the National Tourism Development Plan, is a plan that aims to address all the needs and wants of the tourists that comes to our country, may it be international or local. So since the creation of the RA 9593 or the Tourism Act of 2009, the government or the agencies responsible for tourism created a development plan which runs for 6 years. That was the first one was from 2010 to 2016, and that has been successful as well. And the creation of development plans has been continued. So the NTDP 2016 to 2022 is another 6 year plan, which is just a continuation of the previous one. And the section 36 of the RA 9593 outlined the need for updated national tourism plans to address the evolving needs and capabilities of the industry. Since during the duration of the first plan, the tourism industry in the country really boomed, and the foreign markets have evolved. There's a lot of new foreign markets, the economic performance, and the contribution of the tourism industry to the country's GDP has been enormous. It has grown a lot. So there really is a need for addressing the changes in the industry. And this new act, this new development plan, which is the second one in the making, adopts strategic and innovative approach because the first one achieved so much things, and this one aims to outperform the last one so that there would be much more improvements and the tourism industry would grow more than what it grew before. And strategic because nowadays there is really a need for being wise about making the decisions, especially in the tourism industry. There is a need to be sustainable. There is a need to be very responsible in the actions that we take, and also innovative because we are now living in a fast-paced environment. So we need to also tap into technology. And this development plan also adapts continuity. So from the previous plan, it does not change it entirely. It does not make a new, different plan, but just continues what has been started so that the changes and the improvements won't be compromised. So, next slide, please. And the next would be the Philippine tourism industry profile. So, to further understand what has been the changes made and what has the development plan um, impacted in the industry, my group mates will further explain.
So, Republic Act 9593, otherwise known as the Tourism Act of 2009, provides for the improvement of the Philippines' tourism competitiveness. I guess we, as tourism students aiming for a job in the tourism industry in the future, we all know that knowing and having Republic Act 9593 or the Tourism Act of 2009 is important in a way that it serves as our guide in having or serving a tourism related work environment. If we could compare it in a religious aspect, it could be the Bible in the tourism industry, for it provides us the guidance, it regulates and limits actions that could potentially harm nature, or even helps in improving the Philippine tourism in general to be competitive in the international market. So, next. So, outlined in Section 36 is the need for updated national tourism plans to address the evolving needs and capabilities of the industry. So, in relation to our main topic, which is the National Tourism Development Plan, the Tourism Act serves as the basis and the guide for the industry to do certain actions for improvement. That is why the existence of the Tourism Act of 2009 is vital for our industry and is obviously targeted to improve more. So, we future practitioners in this industry will still rip and will still continue to develop more outstanding products that we can proudly present in the international market. Next. So, economic performance. This is according to the Philippine international arrivals by region in the year 2010 to 2015. So, according to what is reflected on your screens, the growth of foreign visitors and domestic travelers during the period of 2011 to 2015, together with the attendant increases in their lengths of stay and daily expenditures, resulted in an increase in international tourism expenditures to 2.0 trillion pesos in 2015, up to from 1.4 trillion in 2011. Likewise, tourism gross value added of 1.0 trillion pesos represented an 8.2% increase share of the country's gross domestic product or GDP. Employment in the tourism sector also grew to 5.0 million, reflecting a 12.7% increase of national employment over the previous years. That was obviously the good old days of the tourism industry. Obviously, very different from now. But for sure, after this industry to fully adjust and more destinations will open, then we will grow back and recover because most people would really want to travel after being locked at home for months. I myself would want to travel as well. Next.
In relation of the foreign markets, the first the largest source market is from the East Asian region, representing the countries of Korea, Japan, and China, where it comprises 49.2% of total international visitor traffic in 2015, which it still continues as to be a leading source markets in both the short and medium term periods, as the air seat capacities are sufficient to accommodate large traffic volumes. Next is the North America, where it consists the United States of America and Canada, over 900,300 ay 900,000 38,000 visitor arrivals in 2015, which it constitutes the second largest regional regional source at 17.5% total visitor traffic in to our country. Next is the Europe, as the third largest regional market source. Next, Nicole. Okay. So Europe is the third largest regional market source, with the countries of United Kingdom, Germany, and France as their main source countries, and where the Scandinavian sub-region likewise exhibiting positive growth rates during the past year. Next is uh, next slide, Nicole. Next, fourth largest regional source is the ASEAN, comprises 9.0% total international traffic, with countries of Singapore and Malaysia. And further growth can be achieved by pursuing intensive promotional activities in Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, where they are pushing new products, entertain where they where they're pushing new products in Entertainment City in Manila. Next fifth largest ay balik Nicole. The fifth largest the fifth the fifth largest source market is Australia and New Zealand, exhibiting a respectable growth of 8.0%, reflecting the increase of air routes to Australia and bound to further grow due to the possible introduction of direct air services by New Zealand's national air carrier. All countries all countries market post positive growth rates in 2015 with double-digit growth from China, Taiwan, Korea, United Kingdom, and Malaysia, with the overall total 5,360,682 for 2015, and reflecting a sentiment that the industry has now recovered over the natural calamities that befell the country in the past 3 years. And lastly, the ASEAN region, through the establishment of a regional bloc, should be capitalized on as unrestricted access for regional carriers have been ratified by member countries. As it is, only Singapore and Malaysia appear in the Philippines top country markets. Arrival Arrivals therefore could pick up with more air routes being introduced and improves on our product offerings from the regional market being initiated.
For domestic markets, the volume of domestic travelers rose to 67.81 million per data from the 2015 Domestic Household Survey, which is conducted by the Philippine Statistical Authority. The rise in domestic travelers represents a CAGR, or the compound annual growth rate, of 14.3% for the period 2010 to 2015, reflecting the increasing the economic growth rate per capita, or the gross domestic product, grew at an annual rate of 5%, and gross national income at 4.2% higher than the 2.45 population growth rate. Likewise, the growing acceptance of travel as part of the modern lifestyle, and to a certain extent, the increasing urbanization of society, which it resulted in the need to seek different environments and activities away from the city. So the volume of domestic travelers include excursionists, who are persons who traveled outside their usual place of residence and return on the same day, as differentiated or unlike from a tourist who would stay at least 24 hours away from his residence. Next, please. So for the average daily expenditure of the domestic traveler grew from 1,686 pesos per day to 2,172 pesos per day from 2010 to 2015, while their length of stay was assured to be a constant of 5 nights. So for the same study calculated a total revenue of 1,771 billion in 2015, which accounted for 18% of a Filipino household final consumption.
Now we will be discussing the variety of purposes or reasons as to why foreign people would actually visit in our country. The first dominant reason as to why they would visit is for leisure and holiday purposes, with a percentage of 56.37% due to the popularity of island and coastal destinations, which could mainly lead to the beach, holidays, and other nature-based activities, We know that our country is blessed with natural resources, beaches, even the mountainous areas and such. Especially now that we have social media at present, we could easily showcase our products and services where foreign visitors would actually get curious to experience the Philippines during the holidays or even at summertime or during the celebration of popular festivals such as Sinulog Festival at the Atihan or such. This only proves that the tourism industry is indeed one of the fastest growing industry, but unfortunately now that we have a pandemic, the percentage would actually be lower than expected. But at least there are some who are still willing to travel in our country considering the requirements needed. Second is visiting friends and relatives with a percentage of 8.80%. So if a Filipino has acquaintances or friends from another country, they would most likely encourage them to save some money, to experience the country, its culture, beauty, traditions, and so much more. Third is for business purposes with a percentage of 7.59%. So there are also foreign visitors who would meet up with Filipino businessmen or women to pitch ideas or if they are planning to expand their horizons or their branches and close business deals, which really has helped Filipinos when it comes to employment and also our economy. Other reasons, fourth reason is such as educational conventions and incentive meetings, official missions, and medical reasons. As what we have noticed in our university, we have foreign students who have pursued their education here in our country with variety of reasons, maybe because they were persuaded to continue their education here, or maybe because of low cost of living, hospitable and friendly Filipinos, and or our ability to communicate easily through English. So, for conventions and incentive meetings, there are countries who are invited to showcase their technologies and opportunities, or to at least support the MICE industry here in our country. Next slide, please. Now we will be discussing the length of stay. The average length of international visitors has grown from 8 nights in 2010 to 9.9 nights by 2015. It is actually considered as the longest in ASEAN countries. It is also led by visitors from the USA at 12.4 nights, while 5.4 nights for the Koreans as of 2015. For different reasons and different purposes, they also have different time period to stay here in our country depending on their budget, itinerary, or their plans in exploring the Philippines.
So the daily expenditures. So the average daily expenditure by foreign tourists in 2015 stood at 107.4 US dollars per day, showing an improvement over 2010 by 23.5 US dollars. Accommodation expenses topped the category at 36%, which showed a substantial increase over 2010 figures by 13%, followed by the food and beverage related expenses at 26% of their average expenditure. Shopping expenditures stood at 16%, down from the high of 27% posted in 2010. Following are entertainment at 14% and transportation expenses, which stood at 5% of foreign visitors' average daily expenditures. Next is the employment in tourism sector. As you can see on the table, the total employment in the Philippines has 38,118. The tourism characteristic industry has 4,709. The accommodation, food, and beverage has 1,601. Passenger transportation, land, water, and air has 1,746. Travel agents, tour operators, and tour guide has 29. Recreation, entertainment, and cultural services has 343. Retail trade on tourism characteristic goods has 312. Miscellaneous, including health and wellness, and etc. has 678. Share of total employment has 12.4%. So, as a labor-intensive economic sector, employment in tourism-related industry grew by about 1 million jobs during the period of 2010 to 2013, reaching 4.7 million, which represents 12.4 of the total employment in the Philippines in 2013. Job opportunities will continue to grow substantially due to foreseen development in tourism industry in the coming years.
So the NTDP 2011-2016 called for a tourism product strategy to be introduced by improving existing products and adding new ones as a way to diversify the country's product range in order to increase the level of competitiveness and enhance the visitors' travels experience. So on 2016 to 2022, the NTDP continues to follow the originally designed product portfolio and has identified the core products suitable for the clusters and areas for the tourism growth. So these are the example of the tourism products below. So it the first one is nature-based tourism. It is responsible to travel to natural areas which conserves the environment and improves the well-being of local people. The second one is the cultural tourism. Travelers is visiting particular destination in order to experience and learn about the particular culture. The third one is the health, wellness, and retirement tourism. These are the trips that are taken by tourists with the principal purpose be purpose being to improve their health or well-being. Next, please. Next slide. And the fourth one is MICE tourism. The acronym of MICE stands for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. It refers to a group of tourism that plans, books, and organizes conferences, seminars, and other events. For the education, okay,
Ikaw man sa education, Riz.
hold on. Wait. For the education tourism, a type of tourism in which the traveler's primary or secondary objective is learning.
So next is cruise and nautical tourism. It refers to combining sailing and boating with vacation and holiday activities. Next slide. Next is sun and beach tourism. It refers to holidays taken for the purpose of staying in or near beaches. Next is leisure and entertainment tourism. The big difference between leisure and entertainment tourism is that leisure is defined in terms of the consumer's time or free time, while entertainment is defined more as an activity that is offered to them. Next and last is diving and marine sports tourism. It refers to actively participating in one or more water sports activities. Next slide. So the figure below graphically measures the rank of the 9 products using the importance criteria and the ease of implementation criteria. So if you look into this illustration, in terms of high ease implementation and high importance of implementation, we can see in here that cultural and nature-based and diving and marine sports are actually the product portfolio that is highest priority due to their strong attractiveness to a wide range of country markets as per Department of Tourism. So why? It is because for cultural, it is already inherent or it is already there. Meaning to say, there is nothing much to do. Each is implementation means how easy the product portfolio is to be implemented. The Philippines is naturally gifted uh, with cultural and nature-based tourism. So while diving and marine sports is actually in between high and mid average, including the education, tourism, cruise and nautical, health and wellness, and MICE, because some of them might require infrastructure
facilities, systems that are not widely available into the Philippines. Next.
So for guiding principles and vision, align with the key pillars of ambisyon natin 2040, matatag, maginhawa at panatag in the framework of Philippine Development Plan 2017 and 2022. For all you know, ambition natin 2040 is the 25-year long-term vision developed by the government of the Philippines as guide for development planning. It is designed to overcome the challenges brought by the Philippine current political system, which is bound to the limit of the country's 6-year presidential term. The NTDP 2016-2022 envisions to develop a globally competitive, environmentally sustainable, and socially responsible tourism industry that promotes inclusive growth through employment generation and equitable distribution of income, thereby contributing to building a foundation for a high trust society. So as you can see in the photo, these are the process inside the tourism related economy. They have different modes of transport, sites, urban centers, and more. As you can see that they are connected since all can benefit from each other. For the cluster concept, in the pursuit of the tourism vision, the National Tourism Development Plan continues to adopt a cluster approach as destination development strategy in the implementation of completing programs involving transport networks, infrastructure project, accommodation, and recreation facilities. Nicole, can you human resource development and marketing plans, all directed to support the development of tourism destination throughout the country. From a physical perspective, clustering involves linking several tourism development areas into a logical grouping of transport networks, natural and cultural tourism sites, as well as urban services centers that provide facilities and amenities, all serviced by at least a primary gateway. So the TDAs have the following key attributes: good air, sea, and road interconnected system, resulting in ease of traveling to and within areas. The next one is presence of key infrastructure to support power, water, sewage, or solid waste disposal and telecommunication requirements of the community and shopping, recreation, and entertainment facilities. And lastly is day and half day tour sightseeing programs and activities to natural and cultural sites. Some of the TDAs could lack some support infrastructure to adequately meet the requirements of both community and expected visitors. Such deficiencies like poor last mile access, inadequate power, lack of health and safety facilities, as well as comfortable and pleasant activities will be addressed in this plan. The 2016 to 2022 plan has rationalized the number of the TDAs from 78 to 49 so as to provide greater focus on the relationship of adjoining clusters in order to implement and propose development of tourism circuits.
Lina?
That's all. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you.